and good welcome to this meeting, everyone. Cabinet Scrutiny, 24th of February 2021. Just to make you all aware, today's meeting will be recorded. Can I also welcome any members of the public and press to the meeting? And can I kindly ask you to observe the meeting only and not to speak or participate? Can I please remind you all to switch your phones to silent for the duration of the meeting? And in addition, can I refer you to the protocols for remote meetings, which have been previously circulated and which now you should all be aware of. Namely, your microphones should be switched to mute unless you are speaking. And should you wish to ask a question or make a comment, can you please indicate either via the chat function or by raising your electronic hand via Teams. I will assume that you've all read the paperwork before us today prior to the meeting. And I say, please only use the chat function to indicate if you wish to speak as an alternative to the electronic hand function or to raise any technical issues. When asking a question, please ideally can you indicate which page number you're referring to. First item on the agenda is to do a roll call. I'm Councillor Mike Harvey, the chair of the meeting. I'm present, and I now call on Chloe, the Democratic Services Officer, to take the roll call. Chloe, please.
Thank you, Chair. I've marked you down as present. Councillor Saifra Harman.
Present.
Councillor Sharon Freegard.
Present.
Councillor Nigel Hunt. Councillor Steve Hunt.
I'm here, Chloe.
Sorry, Chair and Chloe. I know Nigel was joining the meeting. He thought he'd come into the meeting about 2 or 3 minutes ago. Are you able to see him?
Yeah, could Charlotte or Jane try and sort that out in the background, please? I don't think I can see.
Leave it to me, I'll sort.
Thank you.
Chloe, just to let you know, Councillor Nigel Hunt is in this meeting.
Okay, I'll mark him down as present. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm late coming in. I've had heating engines that just gone through the door.
I was just about to call your name, Councillor Keogh.
Well,
I'll mark you down as present.
Thank you, Chloe.
Councillor Simon Noyle.
Yeah, thanks.
Sir Alan Llewellyn.
Yes,
he's on mute. Yeah.
Yes,
Councillor Sandra Miller. Councillor Rydia Maisen.
Yeah, Chloe.
Councillor Del Morgan.
Yeah, present.
Councillor Suzanne Patterson.
Present.
Councillor Nat Purcell.
Present.
Councillor Sheila Penry.
Present, Chloe.
Councillor Sonia Reynolds.
Present.
Councillor Aaron Wilcock.
Present, Chair.
I'll move on to Cabinet members now. Councillor Rob Jones.
Yeah, sure, Chloe.
Councillor Edward Latham.
Yeah, present, Chloe.
Councillor Carol Clement Williams.
Present, Chloe.
Councillor Doreen Jones.
Present, Chloe.
Councillor Alan Lockyer.
Present, Chloe.
Councillor Peter Rees.
Present, Chloe.
Councillor Peter Richards.
Present, Chloe.
Councillor Annette Wingrave.
I'm here, Chloe, at last.
Thank you. And Councillor Leanne Jones.
Present, Chloe.
I'll move on to officers now. Karen Jones.
Here, Chloe.
Howell Jenkins.
No, Howell's not here today, Chloe. I am here on his behalf.
Thank you. Aled Evans.
Present.
Andrew Thomas. Andrew Jarrett.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm present, Chloe.
Nicola Pierce.
Present, Chloe.
Craig Griffiths.
Present, Chloe.
Sheena Rees.
Present, Chloe.
Hugh Jones.
Yeah, present, Chloe.
Karen Furlow Harris.
Present, Chloe.
Ian Heedon.
Present.
Ian Woodman Ralph.
Present.
And Charlotte Davis.
Present.
Are there any officers that I've missed? I think that's everyone, Chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Chloe.
Hi, Chloe. It's Councillor Hunt here. I just missed my registration, but I'm present.
I've noted you down, Councillor Hunt. Thank you.
Well.
Thanks for that, Nigel. Thanks, everyone. Item 2, Chair's announcements. For the information of officers and the Cabinet, we've chosen to scrutinise items 7, 8, 9 on the Cabinet agenda. we've decided that we will not be scrutinising any items on the Cabinet Finance sub-agenda, as we are happy with the recommendation within the reports. So then we go on to items 3. Item 3, declarations of interest. Anybody got any declarations of interest, please? No, I don't see any hands or any indications. Item 4, pre-decision scrutiny, to select appropriate items from the Cabinet agenda for pre-decision scrutiny. As previously mentioned, we're not scrutinising the Cabinet finance papers. We're just scrutinising items 7, 8 and 9 on the Cabinet papers. So then if we go to the Cabinet papers, item 7, the Strategic Equality Plan. Unless officers got anything to add, then we'll go straight to questions on this. And in pre-scrutiny, we had one person indicated they'd have a question. As Councillor Sonia Reynolds, please. Sonia.
Thank you, Chair. My question is on page 85 on objective 6 in terms of the information provided about shop mobility. Very comprehensive information, thank you, good rationale. The query is there any plan in terms of going forward? We're involved in developments in Neath Town Centre, and is there any way that access and that the use of these sort of facilities for getting disabled people around our local town centres could be improved?
Okay, thanks for that. Sheena, you put this report in. Is this for you or for Mr. Jarrett, please?
Oh, thanks, Chair. I've referred this to the relevant head of service in the Environment Directorate, and the Director of Environment has just indicated, so I think she'd like to pick this question up. Okay, sorry, I didn't see that hand.
Thanks, Chair. Do you want me to come in?
Yes, certainly, thank you. I can see it. There was a delay on the hand showing there, Nicola, I apologise.
That's okay, no problem.
Thank you.
The shop mobility service is currently accommodated within the new multi-storey car park within Neath Town Centre. Now, the reason behind that is that it's located within the car park so that users, when they exit their vehicles, have direct access to the facilities available within the shop mobility unit. So the further away from the car park we actually site the shop mobility unit, the further people will have to walk or be transported to that facility in order to get access to the equipment that is available within the shop mobility unit. So we're of the opinion that it's very well located in the car park, and we have no plans at present to relocate it to another facility. I'm not sure if that answers your question, Councillor Reynolds.
Okay, I am concerned, and thank you, Nicola, and I understand that, and the explanation was fairly comprehensive, but it's also, there is limited free parking, there is obviously a drop in use in this facility. We know we've got a large number of disabled people, so is there any consideration in terms of the equality plan and in terms of our equality agenda as to whether we're looking and at addressing this with agencies, thinking about what other things could be done, whether there's an issue here that could be resolved, or whether it is we're doing the best we can?
Yeah. In terms of the actual parking situation, I know that a number of years ago, persons who were registered disabled didn't necessarily have to pay parking fees, but the decision was made by the council to change that position. And as a consequence, we did make a council decision to start charging all users to use our facilities. So that was a council decision that was made a number of years ago. In terms of the operating recommendations of shop mobility, we do acknowledge that the recent accounts indicate a reduction in usage and therefore potentially in terms of revenue. However, we're also mindful that that has coincided with the pandemic, when we are experiencing significant reductions of visitors to our town centres. And as a consequence, I think it was expected that the number of people through the shop mobility service would also decline. So we are hoping that it is a short-term position. We're mindful that there is a new sort of manager within the shop mobility service, and we have also offered that new manager assistance in terms of improved marketing, so that they can increase the profile of the service and hopefully make themselves available to potentially more users. So that offer has been made to them, and as I say, once we start recovering from the pandemic, we hope that the visitor numbers to the shop mobility will increase as a consequence.
Thank you very much, Nicola. That's comprehensive.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. Any other questions on this item, please? No, I see no indications. The recommendation on this item is on page 46 in 2 parts. Are we happy for them to go to Cabinet as they stand, or anybody not happy, please? No indications. Can I have a proposer, please?
I propose, Chair.
Thanks. Seconder?
I'll second, Chair.
Thank you, Suzanne. Okay, those recommendations go as they stand to Cabinet. The next item is item 8, Welsh Language. With this item, unless anybody, officers, got anything to add, then we go straight to questions. And the first item is from Councillor Alan Llewellyn, please.
Thanks, Chair. I agree on the plan. It's not relevant related to a specific page, it's to the report as a whole. I agree with the principle of the recommendation to realign the reporting dates, as it's difficult to meaningfully scrutinise actions with an almost 12-month time lag. And I would guess it's pretty difficult for officers to report on it on that basis as well. I know there might be a separate question on handling the workload of that, but I think the principle is right. And I also appreciate the difficulties caused by the COVID period in progressing the action plan. And I welcome the restoration of bilingual communications, as stated in the report. It was an issue raised earlier in the pandemic period. I'd like to ask what measures have been taken to catch up with the action plan, and what discussions have taken place or will take place with organisations such as Mental Neath, Eirdd, etc., and how the wider community promotion strategy will be strengthened. This is particularly important as school settings have largely been closed during this period, and other Welsh medium activities postponed for much of the past year, notwithstanding very innovative projects online. Now, we're very conscious, of course, this is also census year, and it's expected that census results will show continued pressure on the Welsh language in many parts of Wales. So basically, that's my question: is how we can catch up with this very, very important action plan during the period that's in front of us, and which should be the next reporting period. Thanks.
Okay, thanks for that. Sheena, you answering this, please?
Yes, thanks, Chair, and thanks for the question, Councillor Llewellyn. I think your question's in 2 parts. So the first part relates to the effect of COVID, and has that caused delays in the Welsh Language Promotion Strategy. Now, obviously, the report in front of you is dealing with the period just before COVID. So what we haven't done yet is actually assess the impact of COVID on this strategy. And that's a report that we will be bringing before you. What we think is that it's going to be a bit of a mixed bag. So actually, the pandemic presented us with some opportunities. An example is the ability to provide online training So we put Welsh language training online for our workforce, and particularly those who weren't working in the first lockdown. So if you remember, from Easter last year, our school workforce were largely not in school. And we actually had hundreds of school employees who participated in online training on Welsh language, which was fantastic. So what we think we'll be able to do is actually report really good training stats around the Welsh language, which we haven't been able to do before. But we do accept that there are other actions within the Welsh Language Promotion Strategy that will not have progressed over the past year. So in terms of how we're trying to link in with the wider community then and other groups that we can work with to help us with this. Mentor Neath is actually sitting, has a representative on our internal Welsh language officers group. So that's the internal facing group, which is looking to progress the action plan within the council. But then we also have a Welsh language officer representative sitting on the Strategic Language Forum, which is facilitated by Mentor Neath, and obviously links in with colleges, universities, other employers in the area. So it's a two-pronged approach. So we're trying to bring the outside in and also link in with outside groups. So that's basically our strategy. I don't know if Karen or Rian want to add anything to what I've just said, as if there's any information that they might have that might help with that response.
Karen or Rian, please.
Nothing for me to add, Chair.
Nothing from me. I think Sheena's covered it there. Yeah. Thank you.
Great, thanks both.
Thanks for that.
Thanks for that, Sheena. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, thanks. And pre-scrutiny, we had indication of Councillor Del Morgan got a question on this item, please.
Diolch, Cadeirydd. Thank you, Chair. I have reread this and I have a brief second question, if I may, afterwards. The first question I had was just basically following on from Councillor Aline Llewellyn's general point about catch-up. Whilst I certainly agree with the recommendation to realign this reviewing, I'm concerned about the catch-up in one particular sense, and that is I've heard from the school where I'm a governor and also elsewhere that there's quite a bit of a problem in Welsh medium education where children have been away for a long period because of the coronavirus situation. When they come back into the school classroom setting, they are behind in terms of perhaps their degree of fluency or their level of engagement through the medium of Welsh. Now, although I'm confident that this can be can be addressed relatively easily because they're young and they're adaptable, they need some help, and I think we have a duty of concern in this regard as well. So I was just wondering, as a plea, I suppose, Chair, that whilst we're not having another review until the autumn, which will then look at the period up to March, given that we're going into the latter part of the spring term and then into the summer term, hopefully children will be back by then, I would like to see some sort of review just on this topic alone, on the catching up of the Welsh medium sector in terms of their fluency, a little bit earlier than that, if that's at all possible. Could I request that? And I'll come back with my other question, Chair.
Okay, I can see Mr. Evans put his hand up. Mr. Evans, please.
Thank you, Chair. I think we are very aware that as schools begin to reopen and as pupils are welcomed back into schools, that there will be a loss in terms of learning, and that is probably significant as far as Welsh language learning is concerned, because as Councillor Del Morgan will be aware, it's very much based on the constant use and the constant re-establishment of language patterns and so forth. Schools have opened since Monday, and we are in engagement with schools, but we are advising schools that they do need to have a detailed assessment of youngsters' needs, and that includes both their academic and their well-being needs, because we are aware that being away from school for such a long time will impact on their emotional and social needs. I actually think that the Welsh language and the oracy part of that can be a key part of re-establishing language patterns. You know, I would advise schools very much to focus on oracy and oracy and oracy to make sure that youngsters not only use the language, but use it as a medium to express some of their concerns and to express some of their experiences over the past 12 months. We are working, as has been indicated, with organisations such as yr Urdd, Menter Iaith. After saying that, I'm sure we'll all be aware that the Urdd has gone through a redundancy programme because of the impact of COVID on their cash flow and so forth. So it is a very challenging situation. We are working with Estyn and we are working with other local authorities to understand the demands of the recovery programme that needs to be put in place. We will be doing a review locally in Neath Talbot, but I think we need to give schools some time, some space, some oxygen to ensure that they engage with pupils, welcome them back, make sure that they are comfortable in their surroundings, assess their needs and build on that. But I can assure you, I may not be here, but my successor will be leading on that programme going forward.
Okay, thanks for that. Councillor Morgan, do you have another question as well, please?
I have another question. I don't know if there are hands up, Chair, on this topic, are there?
I don't know, Councillor Llewellyn, is that an old hand or is it a hand up on this?
No, it's just to come back briefly on that. I appreciate the points made by both Del and Aled in response. And in fact, one of the reasons I indicated right at the outset I might have to leave this meeting a little bit before the end of it is because preparing for the governor's meeting at Ysgolhaig which will be chairing a little bit later on in the afternoon, and one of the focuses of that meeting is on closing the gap, and that's both linguistically reintroducing pupils, starting with foundation phase from this week, which has been, some wonderful images of the children returning, I have to say, because Ysgolhaig campus is 3 to 18, as members will know, but also for the older pupils as well, helping them to close the gap, not just linguistically, but socially and with other academic skills as well. There is some tremendous work going on, and I'm sure we'll continuing to support that. And it was good actually to see a Welsh Government short video featuring Ysgolhaig and the work that they're doing. But of course, I just wanted to mention, obviously, we need to be able to try and provide support for that process in using Welsh as a second language as well, because that's very, very important in schools all across the county borough. So I hope that we'll be able to help support the process in both first language and the key point, of course, about first language provision within the county is the vast majority of pupils come from families where Welsh is not spoken day by day, and therefore that support is needed and is quite visionary. But where Welsh is taught as a second language, and that's across primary schools and secondary schools all across the county, we need to try and ensure that those pupils are also supported in maintaining their language skills. Thanks very much, Chair.
Okay, thanks for that. I got Councillor Peter Rees, Cabinet Member. I say it's unusual for Cabinet members to come in, but you've got a point to make, Mr. Rees, please.
Just thank you, Chairman. Just to pay tribute, really, to the teachers who've been doing the online learning. I know from my own grandchildren's experience that the amount of work that they've had daily has been quite impressive. And I just wanted to pay tribute to the hard work of the teachers who've been keeping children informed and trying to ensure that the gap is not too wide. And, you know, and I just wanted to make that point, Chairman.
Yes, fine. Thank you. And I think we'd all agree with those comments. And then the last hand I got up is Councillor Suzanne Paddison, please.
Oh, thank you, Chair. I did have an administrative question which was answered in the pre-brief about when we would be actually getting reports to Cabinet Scrut. So I'm happy with the answer I had received, that we will get them when it's appropriate for us. But I would like to say I'm really pleased to see the realignment of the data and the reporting and how we continue scrutiny, because I know the importance that this council places on developing the Welsh language. So just that basically, I'm really pleased to see it, and thank you, Sheena, for the report.
Yeah, thanks for that. Any other questions on Del? You got your hand up, Councillor Morgan, please.
Yes, thanks, Chair. Firstly, just wanted to thank the director for his response to that last question of mine, and you know, it's very pleasing to know that we will be keeping an eye. But and I'll leave my plea there that we can have maybe some brief reviewing of the situation, of the catch-up of the oracy skills of the Welsh medium pupils, maybe later on this summer. Thank you. My second question, I noticed during the break, Chair, with page 102 bullet points under Welsh in the workplace. Maybe if Sheena Rees can respond. There's a bullet point about the employee portal where staff are enabled to indicate their level of skills in the Welsh language. And I just wondered if she could give me an idea of what the position is at the moment in relation to that. What are the statistics, you know, roughly then?
Okay, fine. Mrs. Rees, please.
Okay, thank you. I don't have the statistics to hand, so I'll provide those after the meeting. But just to let you know also, we're in the process of moving to a new HR payroll database, which will be fully implemented, we hope, by September. And that is going to dramatically improve our data in all sorts of ways, but importantly around the Welsh language. So we hope that we will have much better information at our fingertips that we'll be able to provide you in future. But I'll get those stats to you, Councillor Morgan.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that. Any further questions on this item, please? No, I don't see any indications. In respect of item 8, the recommendations on page 94 in 2 parts. Are we happy for that to go to Cabinet as it stands, or is anybody not happy?
Yeah.
Okay, Suzanne proposes. Could I have a seconder, please?
I'll second.
Lovely, thanks for that. So that item goes as it stands to Cabinet. The last item then we decided to scrutinise is item 9, Corporate Governance Improvement Action Plan. Unless officers got anything to add, then we've got one question on this from Councillor Lynette Purcell, please. Councillor Purcell.
Thank you. As usual, struggling, trying to find the right page, but I've almost, yes, I've got it. The bottom of page 113, it says, further action was also taken to ensure lawful decision-making in the event that the urgency action protocol could not be utilised. So I just wondered if somebody could tell us on what occasions and why were urgency action protocols not able to be utilised, and what further action was used as an alternative. Thanks.
Okay, I see Mr. Howell Jenkins is down for this report. Is that down to you, Mr. Jenkins, please? Oh, I can see Karen Furlow got a hand up now. Sorry, Karen.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Purcell, what is actually meant by that is to ensure that we had every scenario covered, to ensure the continuity of decision making. We had a provision that granted a delegated power to the Chief Exec and corporate directors for urgent decisions to be taken in the event that the executive could not be contacted. So we just wanted to make sure that every scenario was covered during the pandemic. And just to add, that power has not been utilised.
Thank you for that.
Okay. Anybody else got any further questions on this item, please? No, I don't see any. The recommendation in respect of this is on page 108, and this report is just for monitoring and noting by Cabinet. So thank you for that. But I see we're not scrutinising any items on the Cabinet Finance sub-agenda today. Are there any urgent items? Chloe, please, under item 5 on the Cabinet scrutiny papers.
No, Chair, there's no urgent items.
No urgent items. Well, as we're not scrutinising any further items, that is the end of the meeting. Thank you all for attending, and see you shortly. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Diolch yn fawr, Mike.
Bye.
Diolch yn fawr.